Goosebumps, The Haunted Library, Bad Dog. My brother Sean and I walked through the graveyard every afternoon. That's our shortcut home from school. It was a cold, cool, crisp day. The wind tossed big brown leaves this way and that. I like the crunch they made under my shoes. School is so fun, Sean said, swinging his backpack from one hand to another. Don't you think so, Kathy? I brushed my long brown hair and nodded. A lot of kids think school is boring, but Sean and I always look forward to it. A low growl made me stop walking. A big, mean-looking dog stepped out from behind the tombstone. The dog lowered its head and growled again. It had mangy yellow fur, one eye swollen shut. I could see the other eye clearly. It was a sickly yellow color. I tried to show the dog I wasn't afraid. Now, where did you come from? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The dog kept its ugly head down as it moved towards us. Not friendly, huh? I said. Sean tugged my arm. My little brother is very afraid of dogs. Let's go, he stammered. Go home, I ordered the dog. Go home, go home. The dog stood still, glaring up at me with its one good eye. Hey, hi, I called out when I saw Judy and Martin, two kids from school. They stood half hidden the graveyard fence. Is that your dog? He called. Judy shook her head. No way, she called. Dog growled and bared its ugly yellow teeth. Go home, I shouted at it. Sam was terrified. He started to run, and I followed after him. Is he following us? Sean called breathlessly. I glanced back. No, the big ugly creature had disappeared. Later, Sean and I were doing our homework in the dining room table. Get down, Fluffy, I said. Get down. Our cat loves to climb on the table. I gave her a gentle shove. Sean finished doing his homework first. I'm going out for a ride on my bike, he announced. A short while later, I heard him reach the garage door, and to my surprise, I heard angry barking. I jumped up from the table. I heard Sean screaming for help. I ran out to the garage. Oh no, I cried. The mangy yellow dog had Sean cornered in the back of the garage. Snarling and baring its ugly teeth, the dog arched and prepared to attack. Help me, Sean wailed. Bad dog, I cried angrily. I rushed forward, grabbing the dog's collar. Tugging with all my strength, I pulled the big dog from the garage. Bad dog, I shouted. The dog sneered up at me. Then it turned and walked away. I watched it. I saw a flash of color behind the hedge in the next yard. It's Judy and Martine, I realized. What are they doing here? I wondered. Do you see those two kids, Judy and Martine? I whispered to Sam. Why are they watching us? I don't know, Sean replied. He was still trembling. I don't think I'll ride my bike. I'm going to stay inside. I put a hand on my brother's shoulder. The dog is gone, I told him. He won't come back. I was wrong. Next morning was cloudy and gray. Dead leaves clattered on our street like fat brown mice. The air felt damp and cold. Sean and I were hurrying through the graveyard, making way to school. We were nearly at the gate when the yellow dog stepped out from behind a tiled gravestone. Oh no! Sean wailed. Before I could move out of the way, the dog bumped me with his shoulder and his head. I jumped back as the creature opened his mouth in an angry growl. Bad dog, I scolded it. What does it want? Sean asked shrilly. The dog turned and backed Sean up against a large granite tomb. His yellow eyes flashed angrily. I pulled back his lips, revealing his long splintered teeth. Help me, Sean stammered, pressing against the cold tomb. Hey, glancing up, I saw Judy and Martin once again. They were huddled together behind the fence, staring at Sean and me. I got my hands around my mouth. Help us, I called. Hey, you two, help us get rid of this dog. Judy and Martin didn't move. Please, I shouted. Hurry. To my surprise, the two kids spun around and ran away. Hey, come back, I called. Come back, you two. What creeps, I thought angrily. Why didn't they help? I felt so angry I forgot my fear. I grabbed the big dog by the collar. Come on, I told it. Come on, we're going for a long walk. The dog struggled to pull free, but I gripped the collar tightly and dragged the beast through the graveyard gate. Kathy, what are you doing? Sean demanded, following me but keeping his distance. I put two hands around the collar and dragged the big dog towards the trees. I'm taking him into the woods, I told Scene. But why? Scene asked, his eyes on the dog. Maybe we take him far enough away. He won't come back, I replied. You mean like to a different neighborhood? Scene asked. I nodded and tugged. The dog didn't want to come with me. He growled and snapped, but I didn't let go of the collar. He whipped his head from side to side, but I grabbed the collar tightly and pulled him into the woods. Bad dog, I scolded. Scene followed behind me. Why is this dog following us all the time? Why is it picking on us? I didn't answer. I needed all my strength to pull the dog. I dragged the creature deeper into the woods. The bare trees rattled in the wind. Dry brown leaves swirled and danced. I kept thinking about Judy and Martin. What was their problem anyway? Why did they always seem to be there when the ugly dog appeared? Were they spying on Scene and me? Why didn't they help us when I called for that to them? After a while, the dog stopped pulling me. It lowered its head to me and led him through the wood. It lowered its head and let me lead him through the woods. Scene walked behind me, far away. We're going to be late from school, he murmured unhappily. I don't care, I told him. We want to lose this horrible dog, don't we? The woods seemed to stretch for miles. I knew that the next town started on the other side. I wanted to leave the dog in the next town. I hoped that maybe he would stay there forever. The sky darkened. The air grew colder and wetter. Finally, we reached the edge of the woods. Across the street, I could see houses on the next town. With a sigh of relief, I let go of the dog collar. Shoot, I cried. Get going. I tried to shove the big dog. I tried to give the big dog a hard push to start it on its way, but it didn't budge. It glared at me angrily with its one good eye and uttered low growls deep from its throat. Go home, Scene cried. The dog shook its mangy head as if saying no. I tried to stare the creature down, but it let out one last growl. Then it turned and loped slowly across the street. Without saying the word, Scene and I whipped back around and bolted back into the woods. We ran as hard as we could, ducking around thick shrubs and tall weeds. I looked back once. I let out a happy cry when I saw the dog wasn't following us. Scene and I got to school nearly an hour late, but we didn't care. We were both so happy. We'd left the frightening dog in the next town, far, far away. In the afternoon, we both stayed in school late. We both had science projects to work on. When we finally finished, the school was silent and empty. We pushed open the front doors and stepped out into the cool gray afternoon. At the bottom of the stairs, the dog stood waiting for us. No! Scene and I both cried out in shock. The dog leaped up, ready to pounce. I opened its mouth in an ugly growl. It opened its mouth in an ugly growl. Its eye flared angrily. Thick saliva dripped down its jagged teeth. No time to move, no time to run. I staggered back, pressed myself against the cold brick wall of the school building. The big dog snapped its jaws hungrily. Once, twice, it growled its rage. Dogs always know, a girl's voice said. Huh? Startled, I glanced up to see Judy and Martine standing on the side of the walk. The dog turned to them too, uttered another angry growl. What did you say? I called to Judy. Dogs always know, she repeated. Know what? I demanded. Dogs always know when people are afraid of them. Judy shook her head. She and Martin both narrowed their eyes. Dogs always know when people are ghosts, she exclaimed. She and Martine stepped closer. The dog barked fiercely. You're dead, aren't you? Martin accused. You and Scene are both dead. There's no lying, Judy added. You're both ghosts. Admit it. The dog knows. Dogs always knows. Okay, you're right, I confess. My voice trembling with sadness. Scene and I are dead. Both ghosts. Call the dog off, please. Scene begged them. We admitted that we were ghosts. Now please, call the dog off. We can't, Martin demanded. Why not? I demanded. Because we're ghosts too, Judy said. We thought you were ghosts like us, but we weren't sure until now. The big dog pawed the ground, preparing to attack. What are you going to do about him? Judy complained. Asked. I don't want any living people to find out we're ghosts. They wouldn't let us go to school, and then we'd lose all contact with the real world. Suddenly I had an idea. Follow me, I told them. I leaped down the stairs, dodged around the snarling dog, and started running towards home. Scene and Judy and Martin followed me. Growling angrily, the dog came loping behind us. We cut through the graveyard and kept running till we reached the house. I ran inside and picked up Fluff. I carried the cat outside, set it down on the grass. Go get him, Fluff, I ordered. Fluff let out a hiss and charged at the big ugly dog. The dog uttered a startled yelp and took across the front yard. I watched the frantic chase. The four of us had to laugh. We knew we'd never see that dog again. After all, dogs hate ghosts, but they hate ghost cats even more. Dun dun dun.